This is 5 Minutes with Mike, our news, our voice, and our opinion. With your host, Michael Beckford. Now stop, listen, and pay attention for 5 Minutes with Mike.
Hello and welcome to another episode of 5 Minutes with Mike. I am your host, Michael Beckford. I thank you guys so much for listening, for watching, for subscribing. I thank you so much for your support, and definitely tell somebody about this channel. That's the best way to help grow this channel, and definitely, of course, support by buying some merch as well. And in today's topic, we're talking about some events that's happened within the past week or so. 10 going on 10 days, 25 dead, and California is shaken by a string of mass shootings. 10 days, 25 dead. California is stricken by a string of mass shootings. All the names of the dead from one California mass shooting had not yet been released when the news alerts started again on Monday afternoon. There had been another shooting. There was another gunman at large. 7 more people were dead. Gun violence takes a daily toll in California, but the brutality, scale, and pace of the past week, it basically felt different. In the course of just 8 days, at least 25 people were killed in 4 separate mass shootings. The mass shooting is defined as any shooting in which at least 4 people are injured. Older suspects in California shootings defy typical mass shooting profile. We're going to get into that. The killings, which cut across a big city, a Los Angeles suburb, and 2 small farming towns, have left residents shaken, exhausted, and afraid, while renewed calls for some kind of fundamental change is taking place. This proliferation of violence just seems like it's perpetual, said Teez Hollins, the executive director of California for Safety and Justice, an advocacy group for survivors of violence. It's so common now to hear of mass shootings that they don't even stay in the headlines. Not even a day later, we're talking about an entirely different incident. It's horrifying. Also, as quoted by Mr. Hollins. And this information is cited by theguardian.com in regards to the California mass shootings. And 5 Minutes of Mike is sponsored by the Urban Classics Collection. Download 12 ebooks plus 3 audiobooks, all for less than the price of a hardback book. With best-selling titles such as Dying to Be Straight and thought-provoking books such as Speak Up Poetry and Dirty Negroes. This collection of urban books and audiobooks is great for those that are lovers of African American literature. Oh, yeah. All 12 ebooks in Urban Classic Collection is written by me, Michael D. Beckford, and the link is in the description below. Now, with a limited time 50% off discount promo code 2023books, that's 2023 books for 50% off the Urban Classics Collection. Link is in the description below. Now let's get back to the episode. 25 dead in California shaken by a string of mass shootings. Okay. On to my first segment. We're going to talk about Asian on Asian crime. Yeah, I know it's funny, right? Because nobody ever talks about it in the media. Okay. But essentially what we have here with these murders is Asian on Asian crime. You have one older Asian male that was in his 60s or something, believe, and other Asian male in his 60s or something, we believe. One of them killed himself while he was in a vehicle while the police was circling his white van. The first Asian terrorist that decided to shoot up a particular venue during the time of the Lunar New Year for my Chinese listeners there. And then we have the other older Asian male that decided to shoot up some folks, some Asian folks as well, that were on a farmland and somewhere else, as was cited earlier by the Guardian. And these things typically for most people generally don't happen here in America, as far as an older Asian male shooting up and killing, other individuals that look like him or her for that matter. And it begs the question of why. And that's when something that the police is still trying to figure out. Why did these two gentlemen, both of Asian descent, why did these two gentlemen decide to take massive lives, 25 in total, massive lives from people that look like them? Now, it's amazing because this headline here, when it come down to Asian on Asian crime, it honestly hasn't been taking place in the mainstream media. Now, I was watching a recent episode on the amazing Lucas here on YouTube, which I love his channel. This guy, he definitely speaks the truth. And I think he was also one of the motivators for me to actually really jumpstart my channel. But hearsay, yes, there's such a thing as Asian on Asian crime. So if we can broadcast and pump up black on black crime and, blacks are criminals and blah, 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 then guess what? There's Asian on Asian crime too. And crime is crime. Like, it's only here in America, other places too, but primarily in America where we put a race to a crime. It's already statistically been proven. Those that commit a crime against another is generally within the vicinity of that other person. Period. So if you live in the hood, wherever your hood is, a hood can be a good hood, bad hood, or whatever, and that's got a derogatory tone too. But let's just say you live in the bad hood and you're surrounded by individuals that look like you, and let's say they also happen to be black, and one person's decide to steal your money, and you go ahead and around and get a knife and juke them, then the person that stole your money, number one, committed a crime against you. You, who in turn took the knife to juke that person, also committed a crime against that individual. Wow. Can you imagine that? A crime actually took place. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's no difference than if a white person was sitting in a supermarket and a black person was in the supermarket too. White person A decides to steal some money from you. Black person B, you take out your knife and juke them. Okay, that's white on black crime, if you want to call it that. So it's only, unfortunately, in mainstream America, mainstream news, i.e. Fox News in particular, that pumps up this thing when it comes down to black on black crime. Now, do black people have issues when it comes down to crime in our neighborhoods? Of course we do. Do Latin people have issues in their neighborhood when it comes down? Heck yes, they do. Do Asian people have some issues when it comes down to the crime? You bet your bottom dollar. So when we want to talk about crime here in America, and you want to put down a race when it comes down to it, you better make sure that you're really looking at the facts and understanding why crime is even committed in the first place. And that's honestly for a whole nother episode. But just to give you a little taste, lack of education, lack of resources, lack of stability, lack of jobs, we can, like I said, that's for a whole nother episode of why exactly crime happens. Policing in America will never actually truly stop crime, because policing is policing the aftermath, but it's not patrolling the symptom. In order to patrol the symptom, you need the particular resources in that particular area, such as mental health, such as jobs, such as just a litany of other things that are programs that has been, basically decimated by local cities because they prefer to, police the hell out of people. And we get situations like Tyree Nichols. But anyway, the main point of the matter is crime in itself doesn't have to be crime, because we don't have to have crime if people had jobs and better opportunities. Period. And I'm not talking about no $5 paying, $7 paying crappy job, okay? That's not enough to deter the corner boy to decide not to go do corner boy things, all right? So anyway, the main point of the matter is, in this segment, let's not get all gracious when it comes down to these particular Asians that committed mass murders against their own people. Okay? And that brings me to the next segment. It really a good flow of it. No black or white body to blame this time. Okay? So we all know, everybody knows that most times when we think about a mass murder, it's usually going to be little Johnny, who's white, that's committing a mass murder. Generally, I mean, it's just been, since Columbine, it's generally a white face that's there when it comes down to committing mass murders. And then we try to cover up with mental health, this, that, and the third, and why was Johnny there in the first place? Johnny was being bullied, blah, 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 blah. Nothing that any credit that they actually give to the little black kid if he actually done the same type of crime. Oh yeah, where was his parents? Oh yeah, he was born that way. He was born to do crime. He was born a criminal. But what about right now? What's the story with this dude that's alive? This Asian elderly man, essentially. You see the cop takes him down, like literally take him down. If that was a black person, I don't care if the black person was 90. And he killed 7 people, he'd be lucky to have a stroke in that moment because at the end of the day, they was probably going to kill him. So here's the deal. There's no black or white person to blame this time. But what is our Asian community going to say about this? Which brings me to the last segment. Stop Asian hate is more about symbolism than real change, okay? Stop Asian hate is more about symbolism than real change. While at the same time, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims. So, Michael, why do you say that, stop Asian hate is more about symbolism than real change? Here's why I say that. I believe that the country, we all know that this country is changing. This country is moving towards a more minority progressive nation, whether you want it to be or not. We have Mexicans that are crossing the border at an alarming rate. We have a higher birth rates between the minorities than it is those that are the white counterparts. And so therefore, statistically, within the next, 15, maybe 20 years, this nation is going to be a much more brown nation. So when it comes down to the white agenda, and particularly maybe even the white supremacist agenda, is to get itself in alignment with those that are more white looking, essentially. Who's the most white looking that we can think of near here besides those that are from France and Ireland, blah, blah, blah? Asians. Asians just they look white for the most part. Just like a lot of Cubans look white down in Miami, if you're from Miami. But Asians is a unique community because there are certain stereotypes that are attached to Asians, that they're very educated, they're, business owners, and they're, doctors and this. And yes, they are all of those things. But at the same time, for those that are in an Anglo-Saxon, aka white, community, they see Asian Americans as their friends. So guess what? They're going to pass whatever measure they can to make Asian Americans feel comfortable in America, to feel like a protected class in America, while at the same time stumping their backs on the things that need to be passed for Black Americans. Now, I'm not trying to pit one particular nationality against the other, but I'm just saying, isn't it so ironic that they have this stop Asian hate scenario, and they was able to push this through every measure between the Congress, the House, the Senate, and the President of the United States. But when it comes down to passing a most important measure with the George Floyd Policing Act, and another measure when it comes down to the Voting Act, Congress is pretty much mute. Ain't doing a dang on thing to get stuff passed for Black folks. I'm just saying. So I believe, because there's always been an anti-hate bill before we now have the specifically stop Asian hate thing, I believe this is more of a measure of symbolism than it is actually something that's going to resolve the true problems that's been in existence when it comes down to some disembowelments in the Asian specific community. Now, did you know Did you know it was not an isolated incident between March 19th and December 31st, 2020, and there were more than 2,808 first-hand accounts of anti-Asian hate. According to a report by Stop AAPI Hate, an organization that has been tracking reports on anti-Asian violence, a 150% rise since 2019. This has been because of been barred establishing being spat or coughed on. Asian Americans have reported physical and verbal harassment throughout the pandemic as they've been used as a xenophobic scapegoat for the spread of a virus that originated in China. And this was cited from the EBOOKS.com. And that is another moment in Black Facts. Now, let's take them to church. Hallelujah. Whether you're an Asian, black, brown, or purple, we are all God's people and must find a way to live with each other in harmony and peace, love, and self-respect. And one of the best ways, guys, to help support this channel, yes, this channel, 5 Minutes with Mike, is by purchasing our newly minted merch. Introducing the Michael Beckford collection, a new collection of socially conscious apparel. Get your tees, hoodies, caps, and more. Link is in the description below. And please, guys, hit that like and subscribe button, definitely. And 5 Minutes with Mike is written, produced, and directed by Michael D. Beckford, all rights reserved, copyright 2023 by Speak Publishing International and Michael Beckford Media Group, LLC production. Thank you for listening and watching.